Hello, my name is Mark Eremenko, and welcome again to this chess course on geometrical motifs. Without further ado, I just want to get straight into it. So the first motif that we'll be looking at in this section is Blockade. This is a fairly common motif, and it is fairly common because it is often the case that, as you can see on the chessboard in front of you, the king is surrounded by many pieces, either be that your own pieces or your opponent's pieces. It gets very clustered around the king. And sometimes your own pieces can actually be a threat to your king, as they're causing too much cluster and allowing your opponent to utilize the restricted movement of your king due to being surrounded by all the other pieces. But anyway, I'm sure you'll understand what I'm talking about after we have a look at this example. So in this position, white to move. Please pause the video and see if you can find the winning move. Okay, so the winning move is knight to f7 check, after king to g8, knight to h6 double check from queen and knight, king to h8, queen to g8 check, and after black takes either with knight or with rook, knight to f7 checkmate. So let's go back. How to see this move? First of all, let's assume that black has a rook or a knight on this square. A rook and a knight, because those are the two pieces that can potentially land here. So if the black player already had one of these two pieces on the square g8, all white has to do is checkmate on f7. Now that we know which position we want black to be in, we should try and decoy him into being in that position. And in this case, we will use the fact that he's blockaded himself to our advantage. So the move queen to g8 is a fairly obvious move in terms of getting a knight or the rook to move to g8. However, if we move the queen straight away to g8, all black has to do is take with the king, and then no checkmate. So we need to ensure that the king can't take, and that's how it's done. Another thing is, in this position, if black chooses to go to f8, then queen to f7 checkmate. So it's not really better there either. Another cool thing to note, I don't know, I like the name, so I figured I'll share it with you. A mate like this, where the king is blockaded and he receives a mate by a white knight, it's called a smothered mate. So you're kind of smothering the king. Anyway, I thought that's interesting, so I thought I'd share it with you. I hope you guys have a little bit of a better understanding of what a blockade is, what this motif is about, based on this example. And let's move on to slightly harder puzzles, where we'll have a look at some advanced applications of the blockade. Okay, so as the tradition continues, let's look at this position from black's point of view. If you wish, you may pause the video and try find the winning move. Just as a little hint, I'll circle the main attackers and the main defenders. Okay, so did you find the winning move? Drum roll, please. The winning move is queen to a1 check. And after queen to b1, the only move for white, rook takes on c2 check. King is forced to take, and then queen to c3 checkmate. This was a slightly harder position because the king had to be blockaded by a queen and a rook. But anyway, the philosophy, like the logic, is similar. Well, in fact, it's the same. How to see these positions? You would generally notice that your opponent's king is surrounded by other pieces. So, how to see these positions? You generally notice that the opponent's king is surrounded by other pieces, most of them being his own. Utilizing a series of forcing moves, if you manage to block the king even more to a point where you can easily checkmate him, well, that's the goal. Anyway, let's move on to harder examples of this chess motif. You'll be able to gain a better understanding.